everyone. Hi everyone. So today's this video is about this wannabe clinic software. I guess the main attraction in this app is that it's full of databases and another part which is called the diagnosis system inside this software. So after the presentation on this, because it's relatively short, because most of the functions in this app is pretty much the same as each other, and there's not much interesting elements in it. So afterwards I'm just gonna show the code involved in this app. Okay, so this is the welcome screen. So there's a tooltip here as well. Click to start and exit. So when it's exit, then we'll get this little note here, and no, I don't want to exit. So here there is a login page. So if it's the admin use, for admins, we have more functions than a patient. So okay, so if I want to go back to the welcome screen, I can just click this button. Now I'm going to log in. So for admins, we have this many of functions here. So we've got patient data, which is the particulars of the patient. Appointment making, you can see the other patient's appointments. Doctor's consultation hours, we can see like what doctor is on duty at which time. Patient prescriptions, it's like the list of prescriptions that a patient would have. Patient's visit and case notes. So whenever a patient visits, we're gonna have to log it in, and then anything that happens on that day will be recorded as a case note. So patient, doctor in charge, it just lists the doctor overseeing the patient. Then patient feedback and help is like is quite basic. So when we click into patient feedback, it's just all these. So you can rate. Okay. So you can rate, and then after that you can save. Actually, the saving does not save anything inside the message box that pops up here. Is just to satisfy the user. So back to main menu. Help is just like a guide on using this app. So this one is a highlight, and these patient data, appointment making, prescription, case note, and doctor in charge, these 5 functions are databases. So 4 of these actually they are pretty much similar. So I'm just gonna show appointment making and patient data, and maybe a brief view on these 3, but they look pretty much the same. And doctor's consultation hours is just a list of the doctors, and then like what times, the times that they duty on. Alright, so before we go into that, I'm just gonna show how the user, like other than the admin or staff, like the other users interface for the menu of functions. Okay. Patients will have their usernames are usually an underscore with their names separated by underscores, and their passwords are their birth dates. Okay, so this is the patient menu functions, and they have way lesser than what admins have, because they are not allowed to see the appointments, prescriptions, and so on. Although the prescriptions will be actually very useful for them, but it's still kind of private because every single patient's prescriptions fall in there. So they get the diagnosis, the consultation hours, help, and patient feedback. So I'll just go back to the admin's menu. Alright, so alright, let's go into patient data. It takes a while to load because there's a lot of info inside the database. Okay, so there's a lot of like copies of names here, and then like for each record, these are all fake data anyways. So ID is like the number of record, patient name, IC or passport, birthday, and address, phone number, and emergency contact. So this button here will allow us to travel between records. like this, and at previous record you can go back to the top patient name. Then if we want to add a new record, we can click new record. So I can probably add time, and pressing it again would save the record. So here, that was the new record that we've put in. Edit record allows us to edit this record and save it again. Removing the record, like for example this newly made one, then there'll be a warning sign here. I'll say yes, and then it's gone. So last record will allow us to go to song. Song is the last record. Filter, it'll allow us to filter by patient name. So for example, like right here I can see everyone's names. So if I'm gonna click song, okay, so only song appears. There's no option for scrolling anymore. So back to main menu takes us back to this part. So we've gone through the patient data. That's the most complicated data. It's the most complicated database there in this menu of functions. So the next one we're going to see is appointment making. So this one is kind of simple. We can see the patient's name, what date they are coming by, and the time start and end. So we will be able to see like what like the times start. So that means the patient has booked for an hour slot here. So these are the clinic business hours, and the staff will be able to see from here what slots that they can put patients down in, and then anything else that they can. So here's the reason for appointment, for reference for the staff, as reference for the staff, and we filter by time start here instead because it's more useful than searching for patients' names. So for example, I want to filter 0800, so, and I'll be seeing 0800 only. The 9 o'clock appointment slot is gone. So that's about it for this. Alright, so we'll go into patient prescriptions. Also pretty simple. You see someone's been prescribed paracetamol. Visit and case notes. Patient complained of stomachache, prescribed paracetamol. So this is like a short note on what the visit was for. And the visits usually are the same as appointment making. But if there's any difference in the two entries, then we'll be able to see from there as well. Patient, doctor in charge, it'll just list patient name and who's the doctor in charge, so we can list it down. Okay, patient feedback and help has been shown. So now we're going to go on to the diagnosis system. This is a pretty this one was also pretty complicated as well. In fact, this part was the one that took the longest to code. Alright, so first we get into the welcome screen of the diagnosis center. If you're saying I'm fine, thank you, then it'll take you back to this menu. If you're exhibiting symptoms, then it'll take you straight into the diagnosis platform. Alright, so dear patient, after checking the radio button relevant to you, double click to confirm. So actually one of my regrets here is to make it as a radio button instead, because it should have been buttons, like just simple buttons. So it's a little bit more complicated when I am using radio buttons. First, I'll select whichever one I want. So the patients can read over here which side lies the problem, irritants, or pain. Here, and it's separated, so they can pick the one which is most relevant to them. Are you having a cough? Like, for example, even though the cough is to do with the head, but I am having a cough, so I'll use this one instead of here. So okay, I'm gonna try high blood pressure, I guess. So once I select this thing, I have to select somewhere else, and then I'm gonna have to click this back. So usually for stuff that are pretty serious, like high blood pressure or even allergies, actually basically if there's anything that could warrant emergency, then there'll be a disclaimer. So it's like the more serious conditions, it'll be displayed up here so that you don't have to waste time answering the questions. But if you see anything that you think it's like matching in this disclaimer, it will sort of like explain to you, oh, it's an emergency, please go see a doctor right now. So disclaimers basically are reserved for serious conditions, and the patient will be able to refer here instead of having to answer the questions, so it's quicker. So here in high blood pressure, okay, it's so we'll get some advice. Can cause complications. If you are currently being treated, then please keep a lookout for these complications. Alright, so now we get into this. It's an input box, and we'll be able to basically the answers are just yes, no, and if anything else than yes, no, it'll be specified within this description. So are you experiencing chest pain? I'm gonna say no. So if it's no, then it'll keep on, you know, presenting more and more questions, like trying to ask, is this what you're having? No, then is this what you're having instead? Okay, so if you're saying yes, then the diagnosis will come up straight away. So are you experiencing chest pain where the chest feels like it's being pressed or squeezed? So most of these symptoms came from Google and some book references. So I'm gonna say no here. Sudden numbness. This actually sounds pretty serious. I'm gonna try saying yes here. Alright. If it's something really serious, it starts off with please visit the clinic immediately, and they're gonna expect you who are using the diagnosis system to just drop your phone and then just get straight to the clinic. So you may be experiencing a stroke. Okay. Alright, now I'm gonna try something else, like maybe this one, because some of the stuff here, they don't involve just yes or no. Alright, so I'm just gonna put chest. Okay, which section are you feeling pain? And I can pick between these. So I'm gonna say back. So were you doing repeated lifting recently? Okay, maybe yes. The activities you mentioned may have been the cause of your back pain. Try taking a rest and improving your posture for up to a week. So there's some like methods to resolve this here. And if the situation persists, or if you are worried, then please visit our clinic for a consultation. Yeah, so that's about it for this diagnosis system. It's pretty comprehensive, so there's a lot of things covered in here. Alright, so now I'm going to show the code for this. Here's my Visual Studio. It's made in Visual Studio. So I'll show the database and the diagnosis system code. So I have to refer the forms up here. Alright, so this form 3. Alright, so this is the code for my database. There's a lot of like table adapter functions here. Alright, so this is about it for the most complicated database we have in this app. The next part is the diagnosis system. Alright, so you can see from this little scroll thingy here, it is actually pretty long, and there are like about 1,250 lines worth of code in this diagnosis system. It's very comprehensive, like I said just now. So these are all the instructions in the input box, and these are your answers. If you like put in an answer, then this is what happens. And if your answer is yes, this is what happens. No, then it will pop up the next question. So there's a lot, and ifs. It's a lot. It is quite dizzying. The pain over here is to, like, you know, make sure your next command is within the correct else ifs and end ifs. So actually, otherwise the concepts used here are pretty simple. There's only like message boxes, input boxes, databases. For the database, I used Microsoft Access. Yeah, so that's all for this diagnosis app. Thank you for watching.